weekend. Plan B with Sarina Bellissimo. All you need for the weekend. The biggest stars, the biggest gossip, the biggest events, the biggest tunes.
It's the weekend, baby.
Your weekend fix.
Spin 103.8.
In 2013, Bastille were only given one seat at the Brits, but 2014 was different. All the band was invited, and they even got to perform on the night. They were nominated for 4 Brits and walked away with one. Best Brit Breakthrough Act. They're actually taking part in Guinness Amplify Live, and I'm happy to say Will joins me now on the line. Will, what a year.
I know, it's been a bit of a whirlwind, shall we say.
It really has. Can I take you back to that moment in 2013 when you guys found out that, yep, you're invited to the Brits, but only one of you guys are going? What was the reaction?
Well, actually, it wasn't so much that only one was invited. Dan didn't want to go at all. He was sort of coerced into it. We were on tour, I think, at the time. Yeah. And Dan is hugely opposed to any kind of public appearance, particularly if it has any kind of implications of fame. And our label sort of insisted one of us had to be there, so he was sort of forced into it.
But then this year, you all got to go. And not only did you all get seats, you got to perform and walk away with an award as well. What was that feeling like?
I think given that we were performing, they had to let us stay. they can let us perform and then send through us. It was a really amazing night, actually. I often say it's one of the rare moments in our career where I think we've A, felt a little bit successful, and B, felt a little bit famous. It's such a huge event, and also it's quite a mainstream event. So we've been one of those bands that, although we've had quite a lot of sort of success in terms of we've sold a fair few records and we have a good, strong live sort of thing going on, we're not necessarily in the public eye, and we're not necessarily the most visual or band that there is. And so to be, doing the red carpet thing on ITV, and it was a strange insight into what it must be like to be Rita Ora, and it was quite delightful.
Your aspiration is to be up there on that stage. And what's that feeling like when you go up on stage, the lights are about to come on, that curtain's about to go up, and you're about to start playing? What is that couple of seconds before you start playing? What's that like?
It's just something that never really gets old. I think it's quite interesting, actually. We don't really get nervous like we used to. I think that's the consequence of doing something every day, but that's not to suggest that it's no longer wonderful or exciting or fun or any of the rest of it. I mean, we often talk about touring. Touring life can actually be fairly sort of mundane for the most part of the day. You get to a venue, you get up, you have breakfast, maybe go to the gym if there's one nearby. It's just a day-to-day life. I think every day, no matter how sort of jaded you might be feeling, I think it's that sort of hour that you're on stage that makes you realise that this is a real privilege and a real, to get to perform to people, as well as getting to perform music, which I love doing, also getting to see the reaction that people, again, it sounds really cliche, but the joy you bring to people. You see all the young kids in the front row, who've waited for 6 months for your show, and it's it really gives you a sense of actually that there's some value to what you're doing rather than sort of indulgent, look at me, I play guitar. And
is this why you take part in events like Guinness Amplify Live? Because it's not your usual, It
just seemed like such a cool thing to do, and people often say that we had a kind of easy ride as a band, and we kind of did in that, we got a record fairly quickly and our first time did really well, but we've been playing together prior to Bastille being formed as a band, me, Dan and Woody, for 6 years, and me and Woody have both been in bands since we were sort of 13, and it's a tough old thing to do, and it takes a lot of, sort of perseverance and sacrifice. And I think it was nice because the Guinness thing gives us a chance to be part of something that showcases younger bands coming up and bands who maybe could do with some help with exposure or whatever. And I think we were quite lucky early on. We played with Foster the People, and I think it was quite an eye-opening experience really to do have a band that's sort of a bit more established in yourselves. As well as sort of, I found it at the time quite inspirational because it's like, well, these goals are attainable. You meet the people and you realise they're just like everyone else. They've sort of had to struggle. So I think it's kind of a cool thing to try and help other younger or less experienced bands. And
Will, you guys have to be I know this is not what you're doing it for, but you guys have to be commended for that, because this really is a dog-eat-dog industry, and it's really nice. It really is nice to see that, bands who are making it haven't forgotten about those around them and don't necessarily see even, the bands who are on the same success level as them as enemies. Is that a conscious decision you guys have made?
I've always found it quite interesting. I think 2 points. Firstly, the second you have any kind of level of success, it takes away the competitiveness a huge amount. I'd be lying if I said I've never felt sort of envious of other friends of mine whose bands were doing better before. But I think as soon as you experience success yourself, then that also sort of goes out the window. It's like, I think it'd be weird to be competitive now. It's like, well, we're doing well. We're kind of comfortable. We're really privileged to be in this position. There's no point.
Yeah.
And then on sort of the level, I think a lot of times we've been asked by interviewers before about, for instance, 1975, who are quite good friends of ours, whether they're our competition. It's like, well, it's not sport. It's just music. It's not really a competition.
Yeah.
They're doing really well. We're doing really well. There isn't a sense of I want to be bigger or sell more tickets. Or it's just like it's nice to know people who are doing a similar thing, who are experiencing the same things, and who are enjoying the same sort of success. And I guess coming back to the Guinness thing, like obviously it'd be really just I think mean and bitter to not, if you got an opportunity to help people who perhaps haven't had the breaks yet. I mean, there'd be no point. Like there'd be no reason not to do that, even if they may one day come to dwarf us. And I'm certainly not worrying that I'm going to create a monster.
Well, do you know what? I just wish more people just in life would have an attitude like that. We're not there to compete against each other. We're there just to make things better for everyone. And you're not the only one who gets to live out their dreams. It's good to know that everyone gets to live out their dreams.
That's nice. I remember reading, interesting, it's a bit off topic, but I went to watch The Wolf of Wall Street, and I read this book by a different Wall Street trader that was a similar sort of tale of hedonism and deceit, and it was a sort of remorseful look back at the follies of his youth. One of his quotes at the time was that it wasn't good enough for him to be flying first class. He had to know that his best friend could only afford to fly economy. It's like, I just can't fathom having that attitude. What's the point in having any success if you can't share it with people and empower others, I guess?
I love it. Keep that attitude. Never change that, Will. Before I let you go, new music, what's happening?
We are about to start recording our second album in a week. I think we go to... Actually, no, we're doing it this week. I'm doing it tomorrow. This is why I need to look at my diary more often. Yeah, we're just starting now. We've probably demoed about 16, 17 songs. We've got 3 weeks to do maybe 4 or 5 of them properly, this little stretch. Then we go to America for a tour, and then we come back, and hopefully December, January time, we'll get it all finished. And it should be out summer next year is a very vague plan.
Fantastic. In the meantime, we can see you at Guinness Amplify Live. Will, it really has been a genuine pleasure to speak to you. Can't wait to see you here in Dublin.
I can't wait to be in Dublin.
Plan B
With Sarina Bellissimo.
Spin 103.8.